Hey folks, Alex here, 95 to Freedom. In today's video, we're going to talk about an update on the market. What's going on in today's market? We'll talk about Ulti, the fluctuation we've been seeing in the past couple of days, and give an update on my move from Fidelity into Robinhood and a surprise treat for that. So thanks for stopping by today. We'll make it brief. We'll make it interesting. Let's look at the markets, folks. So the markets have been very green today. Very nice pull up. We got S&P 500 0.32% up. Dow's up over 1%. Nasdaq up 0.14. Russell's up 2% today, and gold is up as well. So pretty cool. Now let's see here. Let's take a look at S&P. So S&P, we are all-time high, folks. Year to date, we are up 10% on S&P. So that's pretty cool. Let's take a look at QQQ. Not as much growth today on QQQ. Again, all-time high QQQ. Year to date, we are up over 13%. Now, a lot of folks, I'm seeing a lot of this in the comments, on the internet. Folks are talking about a big correction that's coming. Now, nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody knows when that's going to be. And the famous suggestion, right? It's time in the market, not timing the market. So we had a correction this year. We had a huge rebound really fast. I mean, look at the all-time chart. I mean, not all time, but going back to 1999. All those corrections we had in 2008, the correction we had in 2021. I mean, everything has recovered over time. So again, I think this is where DCA plays a good part for your growth investments. And, you know, this is where it makes sense to continue to invest in the market and not try to time some kind of low period. Now, when there is opportunity, if you had cash back in April, you obviously would have done much better than somebody who just DCA'd throughout this year. But again, nobody knows when that happens. I think you can probably see some things that are in the works. And again, right now, looking back at what's going on in the markets, there's talks about, again, cutting the rates. We have a big meeting this Friday with Russian President Putin. And who knows, maybe something will be resolved. Maybe there'll be an end to the war. We're not sure, but something like that could also help the markets move up in the right direction. So that's just something to keep in mind. But it's nice to see those green days, obviously, as opposed to the red days. Let's just take a look at some of the funds that I invest in. XTT, one of my favorites. This is on the S&P 500 from Roundhill. You know, we're doing great. We've seen that low. Year to date, we are down 10.5%, but we're slowly climbing up. Again, you are getting that huge dividend, so the recovery is much slower than you would have on just looking at something like SPY or S&P 500, right? Let's take a look at QDT. This is on the NASDAQ, again, from Roundhill. We're up 0.07, so about half as up as QQQ is today. So year to date, we're down about 9.6%, but you can see that recovery as we're moving up in that direction. Let's talk about Ulti, folks. I've been watching Ulti today. As you know, I've had lots of shares. I've done some dumb mistakes. I've cut down my amount of shares to about 21,000 right now. And if you don't know about that, make sure you check out my previous video on that where I cover all of that. But Ulti today, folks, we overnight Ulti climbed, and today, I mean, at the market open, we're at 914. You know, it was nice. It was a nice recovery. As you see the 5-day trend, you can see it as it moves slowly back up. So who knows? Maybe this is a positive direction for Ulti. Maybe it's going to linger around this 610, 615 for a while and potentially keep moving higher. Maybe it'll be a slow crawl, or maybe it's going to come crashing down. Who knows? Nobody knows, but this is all speculation. I think overall, if we look back to May, where we were floated on 602, it is still pretty flat if we consider that. Now, again, if you did buy at 640 thinking it was going to go to 650, you are hurting a lot right now if you bought a lot of shares. Now, my average price was around 629, so I did again unload some of it, so I'm around 21,000 shares. So we'll see what's going to happen after tomorrow's ex dividend. We'll see the recovery by Friday. Now, one thing, again, if you've seen my previous video, I did initiate a transfer of all of my funds from Fidelity into Robinhood. One of the reasons was because I had a wash sale, and Robinhood put me in this basically a 30-day waiting period where I cannot margin Ulti. So that really kind of put me in a pinch, and I was gonna miss out on a lot of gains over the course of 30 days. And I've been kind of eyeing Robinhood with everything that they have, all the incentives about moving. You get a 1%. The margin maintenance seems to be lower in a lot of the funds that I'm holding. And this was a pleasant surprise. Now, I did have Robinhood for the past few months. I just had a couple $100 in Robinhood, nothing crazy. But I did buy like 15 shares last week of Ulti just to see what my margin maintenance was going to be, and it was floating at 40%. Now, today when I logged in, this was the pleasant surprise, folks. Look at this. Margin maintenance on Ulti is at 25%. So I hope by this Friday, all of my money is going to transfer over into Robinhood. And we'll see if it's going to stay at 25%. If it's going to be 25%, that will be life changing. Now, I'm not looking to obviously max out all of my margin, but it's nice to have that cushion, that available margin in event of a dip. You don't want to be so close on your margin buffer, because if we do have a dip and you have a lot of your shares on margin, you could get a margin call. So it's nice to see that Robinhood has a margin maintenance of 25%. If you need help understanding margin maintenance, I do have a couple of videos out there where I go a little bit into depth around that. So that is that was really cool to see that. I can't wait for all of my shares to transfer over. In Fidelity right now, we're kind of in this limbo mode. It's still showing like 67 grand in here. I'm not sure why it's doing that, but I'm still waiting for these I guess few other funds to transfer over, and hopefully everything will appear in Robinhood. Now, the other thing that's cool about Robinhood is like I said, they have the lower margin maintenance, and they have the lower margin interest rate. So I'm going to save probably a couple grand a year just by on the 1% lower margin maintenance. So that's pretty cool. Now, I do like their platform. It seems to be very friendly. I know there's been a lot of hesitation from folks switching over to Robinhood because they did have a few hiccups in the years past, but seems like they've been really listening to the community and changing the way they run their platform. So that's pretty cool. So that's what I wanted to touch on today. Again, Ulti's floating around, folks. It's, we finished the day at 609. Yesterday I think we're kind of on the downside. Let's see, what did we finish off yesterday? Let's go back to 4 o'clock, 4 p.m. Yeah, it was 609. So we finished the day pretty much the same as yesterday. So it's been really, really flat. And we'll see. Ex-dividend tomorrow. If we're going to have a slight recovery, I hope for at least a 50 to 60% recovery by Friday. Hopefully we get back to this 606, 607, and that's going to be a nice indicator for those who are holding Ulti. Let me know in the comments, folks. Those of you who are holding Ulti still, are you still bullish on it, or are you still kind of watching it and seeing for what you're going to do alternative funds if Ulti doesn't hold its NAV? Now, that's all I had for today, folks. I hope everybody has a great evening. And I really hope my account populates in Robinhood, so I have something to really talk about. And the other thing really is not seeing those dividends come in as we're in this limbo land is a little bit nerve-wracking. But that's all I got, folks. Take care and have a great day.